This week, my plan was to talk about the character animation process for Sunset Charlie, diving into the pipeline for creating, rigging, and animating characters in a cheap and streamlined way. I planned to write the script for that after I finished hitting these deadlines as I outlined them last week. And then I spent a week and a half in variations of this pose, because disability is difficult and I have no balance. So, we're gonna talk about that today. Welcome to Imposter Syndrome. Okay, so what were my original goals for last week? Because I remember them being fairly reasonable. Hell, I started off pretty strong. I finished making changes to half the Sunset Charlie script in the first 3 days, and I was particularly happy with the way Aria Moon episode 202 was shaping up. And, to be fair to myself, I did hit the goal of finishing Sunset Charlie's most recent draft. But it was way harder than it had to be, and I didn't hit my goal of writing those Aria Moon episodes. So, the question I have to ask myself is, well, why not? Honestly, it's because I spent most of that week lying in bed like this, on the floor like this, sitting at my desk like this, and tons of other creative collapsed positions. And it's hard to write when you can't get a good grip on your pen. It's hard to animate when holding your head and body upright is a genuine physical and mental challenge. And whilst I don't live like this at all times, this did characterize most of how I spent the last few days. So, what is my disability? Well, like most disabled people, I've got layers of them. I'm autistic. I've got gammy legs and a bent spine. But the primary thing I have to deal with is this fucker. This is a diagram of the inner ear, and this is where things went wrong. My vestibular nerve and the semicircular canals are incredibly low functioning, which is a problem because they maintain balance and coordination for the rest of the body. The result of this is that tons of exterior influences, from laying my head at an odd angle, turning around too fast, being stressed, tired, loud noises, and so many other things, impact this already garbage nerve and crumple me like a ragdoll. Like, it's genuinely not uncommon for family members or co-workers to find me collapsed on the floor. I'm glossing over a lot here because the impacts of this are incredibly far-reaching, but it doesn't just stop at feeling dizzy sometimes. It gets much worse. For example, if you were to close your eyes right now, this is not a hypothetical, close your eyes, close them, the screen will be black, you're not missing any visuals. Now, touch the tip of your index finger to your elbow. Can you do that? That is called proprioception. Basically, that's the body's ability to know where the rest of your body is. Pretty neat, right? I wish I could do that. I mean, I kind of can, sometimes, but only as the result of years of occupational therapy. Without proprioception, much of my movement is cognitive. No, I'm not thinking about breathing, but I am thinking about where I'm putting my feet while I walk, and I'm concentrating very hard on where my fingers are going when I type right. All of the work your body would do to place itself and the room in a physical context, it's all done by my eyes. The result of this isn't just falling over, it's also headaches, and it's also exhaustion. I just don't have the stamina of most people, because if my eyes are open, they're almost certainly doing a ton of extra work. Like I said earlier, I'm not going into extensive detail on this because there is so much to talk about, and it can get really complicated because, well, it's not all the result of a single thing. If you're interested in learning more, Google is great for that kind of stuff. I'm already making this episode shorter than the others just to try and give myself an easier time recording, as I'm still basically in recovery mode from last week. I still don't fully understand what triggered a week of such bad balance. It's incredibly rare that I'll feel this unbalanced for this long, but I do have to try and work around it. And that can be difficult. While working, I'll already be tired and distracted, with much of my focus going to just holding my head and body upright. And that's my starting energy. It'll just drain faster and faster, which means I end up only getting short bursts of work done whenever I can. And, of course, because I'm not getting the work done on time, that causes stress, which negatively impacts my balance, because stress and anxiety are also somehow able to overstimulate this absolute turd of a body part. Oh god. I try to deal with this by spacing out how often I write, or just by writing down. Lying down. It's late and I'm tired, and where was I? Oh, right, okay, the script, yes. I remember how scripts work. I write lying down. I'll occasionally have to switch between power naps and short bursts of writing, and sometimes I'll just have no choice but to, take a day off and lie in bed and listen to audiobooks or something. Rubbing ice on my hands, drinking cold water, and getting deep pressure on my body helps to ease the issue, but sometimes there's really not much to be done on a bummed day except plan to make it up on the day after that. Look, I want to be clear that I'm a happy person. Disability can be hard, incredibly hard to deal with sometimes, but I'm still content with the frustrating way my body works, you know? It's honestly kind of amazing that despite doctors saying when I was a child that I'd likely never walk, not only can I walk, but I can even take part in physical sporting events, even ones that require a focus on balance. My family and I have found ways to accommodate for my struggles and work around what I either can't do or find difficult to do. And that's the key to living like this. Disability isn't some kind of curse, but accommodation is everything. So if you know any disabled writers and animators out there, especially if you work with them, have their backs. Because budging even an inch for people like us is something the world still feels loath to do. Fortunately, I still managed to hit my Sunset Charlie deadlines in time for making this new entry, and I'm actually really pleased with the way the screenplay shaped up on this most recent draft. I was only able to get the script down to 26 pages, but I'm concerned that if I start cutting any more, I might start to lose breathing room. But I suppose I'll find out over the next month, because it is finally animatic time. My producer and co-writer Cinder is going to be recording a placeholder version of the episode, playing all the roles herself. And I'll be putting together the most basic beats of the animatic over the next 2 weeks. This is a really fun part of the process for me, as I get to see the script start to come to life, and I can really get a grip on how my storyboard flows in real time, how it all cuts together, and I can finally get a clear version of how to move forward and of what needs changing. So, with that out of the way, what's next on the to-do list? Ideally, I'd like to have the first third of the script and storyboard turned into animatic form for next time, and because I did leave it unfinished, I do want to get episodes 4 through 6 of Aria Moon written as well. I feel reasonably confident about hitting these deadlines. I feel better, and I'm gonna see another specialist in the near future to see what other help I can get with managing this. It's gonna be a bit of a push, but hey, it always is, and I always make it out the other side. Hey there, guys, gals, and otherwise. I feel like I should apologize for how sideways so much of this episode was. I was still struggling with my coordination even as I was recording this. If you want, you can pretend that every instance of Sideways Cardboard Vermont is actually a metaphor for how sideways I was when making this episode. Anyway, if you want to support me and my sideways self, you can click the Patreon link in the description, because that would make me all warm and fuzzy inside. Next up is the Terminal Secrets Director's commentary, and patrons get to view that early upload video send tweet.